Everything in this module so far has been about adapting, reading the culture, mapping stakeholders, switching styles. All of that assumes the feedback is about your behavior. But what if it is not? What if the organization's definition of executive is so narrow that no amount of calibration will close the gap because the gap is in the system, not in you? This video shifts the frame from individual development to systemic diagnosis. The tools from the previous 4 videos are powerful, but you need to know when they are the right tools and when they are not. 3 signals tell you whether the presence feedback you are receiving is about you individually or about a pattern baked into the organizational system. Signal 1, the feedback language is vague and circular. You just do not have it. Something is missing. You need more gravitas. When feedback cannot point to specific behaviors, it often reflects an implicit template rather than an observable gap. Compare that with behavioral feedback. You speak too quickly in board presentations is specific and actionable. You do not command the room is a judgment that may say more about the evaluator's template than about the leader's behavior. The specificity test separates individual from systemic. Signal 2, multiple leaders from underrepresented groups receive similar feedback within the same organization. When 3 women promoted to VP in 2 years all received not assertive enough feedback, the pattern points to the evaluation template, not to 3 individual deficits. This is the organizational level signal. 1 leader receiving that feedback could be individual. 3 leaders from similar backgrounds receiving it in the same organization within the same period is a pattern. And patterns warrant systemic examination, not just individual coaching. Signal 3, the organization's implicit definition of executive maps narrowly to one cultural, gender, or communication style. If the leaders who have presence in the organization all share a similar style, and leaders who do not match that style consistently get flagged, the definition itself is the constraint. The narrow definition is not always intentional. It is often inherited from decades of promoting one type of leader. But inherited or intentional, the effect on leaders whose styles differ is the same. The door to presence is only wide enough for one style to pass through. The double bind is one of the most well-documented patterns in presence feedback. Women who display assertive, direct styles get lower likability ratings. Women who display collaborative, facilitative styles get lower competence ratings. The penalty applies regardless of which direction they move. This is not a calibration problem. This is a diagnostic signal. The double bind tells you that the evaluation template is structured so that no amount of style switching will satisfy both dimensions simultaneously. The research from Catalyst documents this pattern extensively, and the McKinsey data shows women's representation drops at every transition point where presence evaluations carry the most weight. A senior director who has done everything right. She completed the organizational culture read. She mapped her stakeholders. She practiced style switching for 3 months. Her behavioral data shows successful calibration. She is adjusting delivery for different audiences exactly as the exercises prescribe. But her presence ratings have not moved. When her coach examines the pattern more carefully, 2 things emerge. The feedback language is vague, and 2 other women promoted in the same year received nearly identical feedback. The 3 diagnostic signals are all present. The gap is not in her calibration. The gap is in the evaluation template. Coaching can sharpen a leader's ability to read and adapt to organizational norms. It can build the skill of style switching across audiences. But coaching does not make organizational culture more inclusive. And being honest about that limitation is itself a form of respect for the leader sitting in front of you. In Module 2, we said 3 signals distinguish systemic from individual presence problems. Now you have the specifics of what those signals look like in practice. When the organizational audit reveals a systemic pattern, 2 options exist. Adapt within the system using the tools from this module while understanding their limits, or exit to an environment where your style is valued. Neither path is wrong. The wrong move is blaming yourself for a systemic gap. Both can also be true simultaneously. You may have individual development work and be operating in a biased system. The systemic pattern does not excuse genuine behavioral gaps, and individual gaps do not negate systemic bias. Holding both is the mature diagnostic position. Even when the system is the problem, the diagnostic skills from this module are not wasted. Reading organizational culture, mapping stakeholders, understanding what gets rewarded and penalized, these skills transfer to any environment. They are especially valuable for evaluating whether the next environment will be different. Whether the pattern is systemic or individual, or both, the next step is the same. You need data, not opinions, not vague feedback, real, specific, behavioral data about how you come across. That is what the feedback-seeking protocol gives you.